What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 news and a couple of updates. And so in this one we'll discuss the upcoming Undying armor bundle. There are plenty of players who want to get access to that one, but it will come at a cost. But additionally, you can now get a whole bunch of Destiny 2 expansions for free. That includes Witch Queen Beyond Light and Shadowkeep, although there is kind of a catch, we'll talk about that. And then we've got updates regarding various bugs in the game, a terrifying audio glitch that'll make you jump out of your skin. We'll also talk about weapons that were cut from the final shape reveal and have made their way into this season. We also get word about a January update, new Prime Gaming cosmetics, and there are a few other things to talk about in the video today. So, bit of a general roundup in this one, guys, but as always, I hope it's useful. And without further delay, let's get into it. And firstly, according to Destiny Tracker, the Season of Undying Season Pass armor will be available to purchase next week for silver, and according to them on weeks 4, 5, and 6, the bundle for this armor will be available. Bungie did a similar thing last season with the Season of the Worthy gear, and it turned out to be a very expensive bundle to acquire a bunch of items that we previously got on a season pass, which were what, like $10, something like that. But according to the database, the universal ornaments for the Undying armor sets will be available for 1500 silver. And so the Undying armor sets will return, but of course come at a cost. When Bungie did it with the Worthy bundle, of course, it wound up the community a whole bunch. So it'll be interesting to see how this one goes down. I do think it's pretty expensive stuff to sell older armor for that kind of cost, but that's just me. I'm sure no doubt there will be players who still purchase it, as of course there isn't another way to get those in the game now, so let us know what you think about it down below. But up next, right now there is a way that players can get the Witch Queen, Beyond Light, and Shadowkeep for free, although this only applies to PC players, as it's available on the Epic Game Store until the 20th of December. So the Epic Game Store have essentially done the thing that Bungie wouldn't do, and made a bunch of older expansions free. Of course it is limited time, and they obviously have a deal with Bungie in order to do this, but for any players who can access it on PC, you can cross-save your account between Steam, Epic Games, or even the console and Epic Games version. And while you'll only be able to access the actual expansion content and the activities on the Epic Games Store version of the game, any rewards that you earn can be carried between different versions. So from Shadowkeep, we've got stuff like Leviathan's Breath, Assassin's Cowl, Xenophage, Divinity, and then Beyond Light has got the stasis subclasses, Aegis Scepter, Tiku's Divination, Cloud Strike, and of course a bunch of really good weapons from Witch Queen, whether it's the raid gear or things like Osteostriga and the Parasite. Weapons and gear can be applied to the account in general, so if you do play on PC and you've perhaps been free to play for a while, you could technically play on the Epic Game Store and unlock a bunch of that stuff. And once again, activities will not be accessible on other platforms, but the majority of the gear that you earn will. So something to think about and take advantage of before the 20th of December. It's especially good that Witch Queen is available, as that is some of the peak Destiny content, I suppose. As for whether Bungie will do this on other platforms in the future, we've got no idea, but it sort of does make a meme of the Destiny starter pack that Bungie released a couple of weeks back. As in this context, it's a couple of exotic weapons and some cosmetics, which were what, like $15, versus 3 expansions for absolutely nothing. I know which one's better value. Give us your thoughts about it down below. We'll link the Epic Game Store there as well. And into other news right here, and some amusing bugs. Ryan WXH on Reddit did point out that snowball upgrades for the Dawning aren't functioning correctly, if at all. And for example, the increased duration of slow on enemies hit by snowballs from Long Winter and Longer Winter doesn't appear to be working correctly whatsoever. On top of that, they point out that snowballs aren't triggering the stasis mine when hitting combatants, and that shattering a frozen combatant isn't causing them to drop additional snowballs when you have the gift that keeps on giving. And so not one, but pretty much all of the snowball upgrades for the Dawning appear to be bugged at the moment. We'll wait for confirmation from Bungie on that one, but if you've been curious what's going on with them, that may be a useful heads up. Another random bug here, but Riven the Dragon on Reddit pointed out there's an audio bug when interacting with Riven during the coil between different rounds, and occasionally on leaving Riven's menu, the sound of the portals opening up for the activity can be incredibly loud, as demonstrated in this clip right here.
Do not tell the others. They will envy you.
So keep an eye out for that, or an ear out, although do be careful as it is pretty loud. And the Destiny team said, we're currently working on a fix for the audio issue that we have planned to go out with our next update in January. So it will ultimately be fixed. And also a possible indication there that we might not see another game update until January. Obviously that isn't confirmed, there are other bugs that Bungie might possibly fix in the next couple of weeks before they go quiet over the festive season. But otherwise it looks like January will be the next point where we see any major updates. Another quick mention as well, but players have pointed out that apparently Stay Frosty still has a large muzzle flash. And so essentially when the weapon is firing, the lighting effects from that are much brighter than they are on most weapons. I thought it was something that Bungie had fixed, but apparently it's still an issue for some players, so certainly if you have any kind of photosensitivity, it may be worth being a little bit cautious if you use the Stay Frosty. Up next though, something I wanted to talk about here, and of course we had the final shape reveal back in the summer. One of the interesting things with that, of course, would be some of the weapon rewards that they revealed there, and the fact that they made it into this season. So interestingly, when they spoke about the Kvostov and the Red Death, they only showed sort of concept art for the weapon, they didn't actually show any gameplay of them working in D2. And the one weapon that they did show returning from D1 working in Destiny 2 was of course Dragon's Breath, and we know that we had that as the Season Pass reward this season. Interestingly, there was a very difficult to read bit of text overlaid on that clip that said exotic weapons shown are coming in future seasons and the final shape. So in the case of Dragon's Breath, they essentially gave a disclaimer that this would arrive in a future season and not necessarily the final shape. But it's kind of strange that they spoke about it during the final shape reveal, almost like they were padding out that reveal a little bit. But then another interesting element is that one of the future weapon archetypes, the rocket pistol, which didn't have a disclaimer saying that it would come in a future season, of course has turned out to be released this season as part of the dungeon loot pool. And so with that one, I'm more inclined to believe potentially it was actually pulled forward from the final shape. But it is interesting that both of these weapons ended up appearing in the reveal, and perhaps Bungie weren't ready to speak about more weapons for final shape yet, and so instead have touched on reprised weapons that they only really have concepts for, as well as some weapons that were pulled forward from the expansion into Season 23. So kind of a strange move there, but it's also curious as well that they didn't have any gameplay to show for new exotics for Final Shape at the time that reveal happened. Of course, we did see legendaries like the support frame auto rifle, but perhaps in a weird way it's sort of a bit of evidence as to why the Final Shape needs a delay at all. And on top perhaps of smaller items like single exotic weapons, loot pools and stuff like that, when we heard about the Final Shape rumors, devs had said that the expansion had been received internally as being good, but not great, and that's why it's been pushed back to June of next year. Nonetheless, I thought it was weird that those weapons were featured and are part of Season 23, while we also saw a distinct lack of reveals or actual gameplay for upcoming exotics and things like that. So those are perhaps things that Bungie are still working on and aren't really ready to be shown yet. Give us your thoughts below. It's very obvious that bits of content have been moved around though. The final mention for today though, and there is a new Destiny 2 Prime gaming bundle, so if you have Amazon Prime and you're signed up for Prime Gaming, there are additional rewards that you can pick up for certain games. Destiny 2 is one of them, and this month we see the Dawning Exotic Emote bundle, and that includes the Dawning Warmth Legendary Ghost Projection, the Winter Lotus Shell Exotic Ghost, and there's also the Baking Cookies Exotic Emote, as well as the Cerulean Flash Exotic Ship. And yes, they did mistitle some of the bits of artwork for those there. Nonetheless though, if you're signed up for Prime Gaming, that's something you can pick up now. For today though guys, that's what we have to speak about in this video, bit of a random roundup, but some interesting elements to discuss in the videos, so as always I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll be sure to keep you posted with additional news from Bungie when we get it as well, so stay tuned on the channel, hit subscribe and the bell icon and I'll keep you posted. Otherwise though, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.